Hey, what's up? Okay, so I got some reviews for you today. Starting off, see if you can figure out what this would be to another something, and see if you can catch the drift. Overused, big, too big for your head aviators. Pop. Little pop. Popular. Pop music. Alright, we go with that. How about next? A nice shiny tie made of duct tape. What'd you think? Indie. Alternative. Hipster. Yeah? Okay. I can see that one. Alright. Well, what about this next one? My ukulele. A little hipster indie. It's becoming popular, but we're still going to call it indie. Alright, so. And lastly. Whoa. Whoa. Giant medieval sword. Okay, that doesn't really fit anywhere. Sorry. Sorry about that. I got a little carried away with the game. We're not going to stab anyone. I swear. I'm not stabbing anyone. So giant medieval sword actually, turns out, does not fit into any of the said categories. But this is the kind of confusion you get with the new album from Young the Giant. That's right, I had a segue. It made no sense, but it was there. So here we go. This is Mind Your Manners. It's very gray, dull, lifeless. I don't know why, it just is. Even the inside of it's gray and lifeless. I mean, look at this. Nope, just gray. All gray. So, aside from that, the album itself, it's, well, we'll get to that in a second. How about some history? So, Young the Giant. Young the Giant are an American indie rock band from Irving, California. They were formed in 2004. The band's lineup, Samir Garai is the lead vocalist. That is completely not how you say that. Jacob Tilley is the guitar player. Eric Katana is the guitar player. Payhem, I'm not even going to attempt that name. Dushandaya, yep, wrong again, is the bass guitar player, and Francis Comatos is the drum player. Okay, these guys actually were formerly known as the Jakes. Young the Giant was signed to Roadrunner Records in 2009 and released their first record, 2010. Had 2 singles, huge singles, by the way. My Body and Cough Syrup just took off. That's all their band really wants, is that kind of fame and popularity, and they really got it with this album. It was just, their first album was just all they needed. It's really interesting because they've been around for a lot longer than you think for a band that only came out just a couple years, 2010. But 2004, it's a while. And they didn't really ever do much until 2009. And they weren't even Young the Giant until 2010. So, touring with Minus the Bear, Steel Train, Lollapalooza opening spots. I saw them there at that. We get to today after Young the Giant. Now we're at, of course, the second album. The sophomore album. Whew. It's a dangerous game with sophomore albums because that's where we get into the area of the sophomore slump. Some albums, bands take off, Arcade Fire, they go straight to the top in every release, or you have other bands that just fall off the face of the earth on the second album, and yeah, well, some build up all the way. This is hard to say which they're going to fall into because the second album is always tough. Your first, you've got years to make it, you never really have any pressure because, as long as you need. As long as it's good, who cares on a time limit? Second one, now you're limited. Nobody is very patient, and if you don't put out something soon, they're going to forget you existed. So, it's tough. Let's give you an example. Alright, second album, really busting out the doors, Nirvana. That's the biggest example you can get. They just killed it. But that doesn't happen every time. Fleet Foxes, second album, Hopelessness Blues, was awesome. I actually liked it better than their first. Killers, second album, yeah, no, it's still pretty good. Not up to Hot Fuzz, but... Hot Fuss, not the movie. But it's still not the same. But usually you get our huge failing album thing. They didn't fail, per se, but they definitely got... I don't know, I've never said this before. They actually were a little bit too motivated to try and change. Doing something different. I've never really said that because people usually screw up not for trying too hard. Yeah, no. Just enough indie cred. Let's just say they were this pop indie sensation in 2010, but they changed their sound. I think they were trying to become like Radiohead, because the kind of progression that they make, they add layers and layers and layers just stacked on each other to the point where you cannot always understand what's going on in the music, and it's so polished. It's like clean cut, smooth. The layers and the highs and the lows are gone. It's all just a medium in the middle, and I don't know, there's no rough edges that's fun and joyous, and you can't even take in the accounts that the lead vocalist's over-the-top awesome lyrics and singing because he gets left behind in some of the layers, like, just stuck. It's hard to hear it. I don't know. Is the over-the-top synth necessary? Isn't guitar and vocals and some drums enough? Do we really need all of that? Well, yeah, apparently they decided we do. But what happens here, I'll go through the album. The first song on the album is actually just an intro. It's called Slow Drive. It starts with a large burst of synths. It gets much larger and in your face and then just goes straight into the second song, Anagram. And that's really where the album starts. It's a synth indie pop gem. You know, it's what they used to be like, except way more layered. Take that, add synths, and more synths, super polish it out, and then you get this song. I don't know, his vocals shine, but they're harder to get. You gotta really work for it, and that shouldn't be the case. The next song, It's About Time, the lead single and one of the best songs on the album. I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of bro-rific. It's got some huge moments, and it's a really big chorus, catchy song, and that's what you want, and I like it a lot. It's a rock jam. It's what it is. It's fun, it's really catchy, and the singer owns this one. The second one, Crystallized, it's similar, but it's a lot poppier. It's rock, but it throws me off a little bit because of how poppy it gets in the chorus. It's just trying to accomplish too much and change sound and back and forth between indie and pop, as I said with my little segue. Too much, and they can't really figure out where they're going here. The next song, Mind Your Manners, is another highly layered synth-driven song like the rest of the album, but the major driving force is still the vocals. It's still more pop than indie on this part of the album. Daydreamer is so full of synth, I don't even know. They're trying to vocally sound like Interpol at the beginning because he starts in the lower register and then builds. He is giving it his all on this album. I mean, he really is. But it's just tough to keep up when there's nothing there, but you can't even barely understand what he's doing with all the synth, especially on Daydreamer. It's super thick on this one. And the next song on there, they finally figure it out a little bit. Firelight. It's a true ballad. It's driven by an acoustic guitar and vocals. Simple. It works, you know? Don't mess it up. It's just... You don't need all that synthification. Yeah, that's right, synthification. One of the best songs on here because it's simple and straight to the point, and it lets the vocalist shine. It really does. Camera starts with light synths before building into, guess what? More synths! Who saw that coming? It's another weaker song on here. It just sort of does too much with synths and not with anything else, and it just leaves... I don't know, it loses something. It's My Home is the start of where it switches from pop, indie, to just alt-rock. And this track is a much better track for it. You know, it's solid. It's got guitar catchy hooks and indie stuff, but it's not so full of synth that you just want to synthesize yourself. Yeah. No. Anyway, the next song on there, Eros, is another really personal favorite. I think it's really good. It picks up where the last song left off, but it's kind of the best of both worlds, because it packs in the alt-rock and the pop into one without becoming overbearing and overwhelming and just in your face about it. Like, man, listen to how cool we are. We can just smash this into one and make you like it. They don't try so hard with this one. It just sort of genuinely happens, and it works better if you don't force it. Teachers is another one in the second half of the album. It's switched all together into alt-rock on this one. This song is... I don't know, it's mostly guitar alt-rock with some smattering of synths here and there. But then we get to my personal favorite on the album. I know most people are going to think I'm nuts, but I really love this song. Waves. It's a huge song with a lot going on. It's I don't know, it's hard to describe because it is exactly full of synths. It's full of alt-rock guitar stuff, but they do it in a way that doesn't burn your, burn your brain. There's not too much there to take in all at once, and it's simple. And the ending vocal line is my favorite part. He shows off this huge range where he just soars up and down in super catchy vocal stuff, and it's awesome. I mean, it really is. It's pop, it's indie, it's alt, it's layered. It's got everything, but it somehow works. It just clicks. And Paralysis. It ends where it started. A huge synth pop song. Too many synths, not enough guitar hooks. Catchy choruses, but let's be honest, this isn't like their first album. This is not My Body, this is not Cough Syrup. It just isn't. It's a little catchy, but, they tried. They tried to be different too much. I don't know how else to say it. They forced it. They forced a change. Change should be natural with the band, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're trying so hard that it just compromises everything, because you can't naturally do it on your own, it's just not worth it. I mean, on the songs that it clicked, it worked well, but if you'd spend some more time and just let it naturally occur and not try to shove it down people's throats, it's a better feel. Have fun with it. They just sound like they're forcing it. Let the singer shine. He is your goal. He's your golden star on this. He really is. I mean, This album would be amazing if you just let him do what he does. But they don't. So, that's sad, but I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. It's still a pretty decent album, and I think it'll grow on me. I've heard it is a grower. But it's too much. Too much. So, 3.5 stars. I'm going to recommend you check out Waves. I'm going to recommend you check out Eros. I'm going to recommend you check out, of course, Crystallized. And, you know, It's About Time. Singles. The singles are good, but check out some of the indie ones too, as well as Firelight. It's those few. So, as I say, another review's coming up, and it's not